All right, and we have started recording. So please behave, guys, on the live stream. So welcome everyone. This is ETHKL, December 2020 Community Meetup. Today we are very lucky to be welcoming Aleksander from Axie Infinity. Those of you who don't know Axie Infinity should really get to know them. They are by many metrics the leading blockchain game in the space right now. And so just a quick introduction to ETHKL for those of you who are here for the first time. We are a community meetup that focuses on the technology and use cases of the blockchain, specifically Ethereum. We're sponsored by Etherscan, which is one of the proud exports of Malaysia in the space. Yeah, so I'll just get started. So we typically start with some announcements. For those of you who are not aware, Ethereum 2 finally had its genesis. What was it? 2 days ago, on the 1st of December. And just for those of you who haven't heard, it's a funny story about how decentralized systems work. When Bitcoin got launched, Satoshi added a message in the first ever block of Bitcoin that said the times something about a bailout in the UK. Whereas in Ethereum, when we did the first ever block in Ethereum 2, because it was proposed by a sort of a random member of the community, he had or she, presumably he, because he said Mr., had the most profound statement of Mr. F was here. So that's going to forever be permanently on the blockchain, that the first ever block proposed on Ethereum 2 had the message Mr. F was here. Second announcement is My Crypto Winter, the very popular wallet on Ethereum. They're doing this monthly security sharing. So if you follow them on Twitter and you retweet their messages and you follow the steps, obviously, you will be have a chance to win swag and free gifts. I see Axie is one of the sponsors this time. So if you want the swag, then fill up those the steps for My Crypto Winter. Just follow them on Twitter, and I will find a link to share later as well. So yeah, like I said, a bunch of items to cover this month. First one is how Yearn Finance is going on this DeFi M&A spree. Not one or two or three, but 7 different projects that they either merged with or integrated somehow. And yeah, there's too many for me to be able to find a link that put them all. I'll share their Medium page later, and then you can find the different articles if you're interested. And then there was a partial chain split on Ethereum. It's not it. Some people would have called it a hard fork, but because Ethereum has multiple clients, it wasn't a hard fork. Basically, some nodes were running an older version of Geth, which is the most popular client. And when that version became outdated because of some security bug, then they got disconnected. And fortunately or unfortunately, Infura, which is the node that is used by a vast majority of the dApps, was using the old Geth client. So a lot of dApps wasn't working for a few hours, and even a bunch of exchanges had to block withdrawals because they weren't on the canonical blockchain. It's kind of interesting. It does show that hey, actually Ethereum isn't centralized in a centralized way, relying on Infura, because you can see a bunch of other nodes, but it does point to a problem when clients are updated and people don't show up. So I'm just gonna mute. I think Cedric, I think you just joined. I'm just gonna mute you quick. Okay. Next one is GoDaddy, which is the world's largest name domain service provider. Got socially engineered. That means some of the employees somehow got hacked into, essentially, and therefore the hackers managed to hack into some crypto services, including Liquid, which is the exchange based out of Japan/Singapore, and Nice Hash, which is a mining service. And the very big news that just came out this morning, Visa has announced a partnership with Circle. Circle's the one that created USDC. And basically, they will enable credit cards on the Visa network to be integrated with USDC. So you can pay people essentially with USDC. Oops. Sorry, guys, I'm just going to make sure I automatically mute everyone. Then next one, so this is our own community member, Johnson. Johnson, who works for CoinGecko. He independently created a DGen trader Chrome extension. So if you are a DGen trader, you will probably benefit from his Chrome extension. A bunch of features that help make your DGen life easier. And CoinGecko created a crypto awareness survey for Malaysians recently. From what I recall of the results, it's pretty expected, mostly like it's males, 20-ish and 30-ish year olds who are predominantly in crypto. And one interesting thing was that they said that at least out of their survey, which may or may not be representative, 5% of Malaysians have invested in cryptocurrency, which in my opinion is a bit higher than I thought. I thought we did get adopted by that many people. So I can share the link later for you to check the results. Similarly, Luno Malaysia, our most widely used exchange, also did a survey of their users. In their case, it was a bunch of older people, 30 to 49-year-olds, and I guess you could understand that as older people use exchange a lot more. Instead of using like DeFi or wallets and stuff like that. They've also said that they have 90% of the local market share, but we do know that there are many Malaysians who don't use the official three licensed exchanges. So take that with a pinch of salt. They've also announced globally that they've created a Bitcoin savings wallet where you get 3 to 4% interest return annually. It's not launched in Malaysia yet because I believe they have to get a deposit license or something similar, be approved by the regulators. Another one is Huobi, one of the biggest exchanges. They've launched an exchange out of Labuan. I don't know if this has been some misunderstanding or miscommunication, but the Labuan license actually doesn't allow you to provide your services to Malaysians. It's meant for you to just create an exchange out of Labuan, and it's sold for outside of Malaysia. In this news article, they actually mentioned they are selling to Malaysians. So I hope that's a miscommunication and not an intentional thing, because they're probably going to be in trouble if that's true. And lastly, Bursa Malaysia, our stock market exchange, has finished a pilot using blockchain for bonds. They've partnered with this Stacks company out of Singapore. I checked them out. They're a fintech company, I think under a sandbox by the Singapore regulator. I don't know what blockchain they have. When I Google, I can see it mentioned Quorum in the text preview, but when I'm on the website, I can't find a mention of Quorum at all. So that's something to be explored later. And if anyone knows anyone from hashtags, I would be happy to invite them to share to our community. Okay, so that's it for the roundup. I will allow Aleksander to share. And let me just, I think I muted you earlier. Aleksander, you can share your
screen. Guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, give me a second. I'm gonna fix some small things here. It's just but while I do that, happy to be here. Should be good. I'm a little bit connected to the Malaysian scene. We know in Axie we know the guys over at CoinGecko quite well. So they were actually in Ho Chi Minh City, where we have our main base. I think maybe 1.5 years ago or something like that. So they're really nice guys over there.
Yeah.
All right, all right, all right. Oh, that is the wrong presentation. So just give me a second. Mhm.
And if anyone has, maybe you can put in how many Axies you might have in your wallet, if you don't mind sharing. I can say I
How
have
many?
Axies, just for the
Yeah,
audience to share.
yeah, yeah. Does anyone
I
actually play Axie here? I'm curious about that. Anyone else in the chat? So I maybe know how detailed I should be in my presentation.
We have Steve who said he does. I do. I have, I think, 4 Axies right now, looking to breed
Not bad,
a
not bad.
beast one.
Yeah, are you winning?
Uh, I think I'm slightly above 50%. Slightly.
Oh well, at least then you are getting some SLP. All right.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do then is share my not screen but presentation purely. All right. Can you guys see the Sky Mavis presentation or the Axie presentation right now?
Yep.
All right. So where did it go? Okay. Mhm. Is it full screen?
Not yet. You have to click on the present button on top right.
Yeah, let me know when it's full screen.
Ah,
Stop sharing. Resume share.
okay, now it's full screen.
Now it's full screen. Okay, so then I'm just going to begin presenting, and you can, if there are any questions, just feel free to stop me and we can discuss. I'm going to take this a little bit light, so we can have some discussions underway. But yeah, Axie Infinity, live, play, and earn. The reason why the name of this presentation is because of the latest things we've seen in terms of what Axie Infinity has been and what it is becoming. But to get started at the most important things, $130,000. I'm sure some of you guys have heard about this, but this is the price for the most expensive Axie ever. And it's not alone. There are several Axies actually that I've sold for this price. My name is Aleksander. I'm one of the co-founders of Axie Infinity and Sky Mavis, and we've seen the real impact of what it means to truly own your game item and what play to earn can mean for not only Axie but also games in the future. But to help me describe the problem that we are solving for, I want to talk a little bit about the traditional gaming industry and kind of where we got started. So to help me illustrate, here's Bob. He's played over 5,000 hours of World of Warcraft, and now he is quitting the game. All the game items and everything that he's achieved over that time actually belongs to Blizzard, so it doesn't belong to him. And when we started Axie, we saw this as a major problem because there are so many people who want to trade their game items, and the only way that they can do that right now is by breaking the terms of use for the game companies themselves. And the game companies, they don't have any incentives to actually share the profits or any of the things that are happening inside the games. But we believe that gamers deserve to own their game items. So if he played Axie Infinity instead, he could have easily owned all his game items, started his own digital identity, and then also monetized from there. Everything would have been provably scarce, transparent, so that you could see whenever items were traded and how many actually exist. And then, of course, portable, so that you could bring them with you into potentially other games in the future or other games across the entire Axie Infinity universe. And I think this is quite important to mention. Our killer use case is not necessarily the meta universe that might be coming, because it's still a pretty far way out, but that's a definite way of what can happen in the future. But what we believe in is that everyone should own their items and be able to have them with them, not necessarily as usable things in other game universes, but just as a proof that this is their history online. And I think this is something that we've all forgotten so far. So right now you can actually play Axie Infinity today. It's released in the community alpha stage. So we've been developing since early 2018. We've had a few versions out, but the current version is available both on Android, Windows, and iOS. So if you have a mobile phone, which is using iOS or Android, you can easily get started as long as you own 3 Axies. So the only way to get started is by buying 3 Axies. There is no free to play yet, but we're still seeing massive growth, which I'm going to get a little bit into later. So what is actually Axie Infinity? Well, the easiest way to look at it is that Axie Infinity is a digital pet universe where you own some very cute game characters that you can use in a few different games. So we've developed a battle game, which I mentioned. And then we also have a breeding game where we can use your Axies and breed them together to create new game characters. And that's kind of a part of the core game loop right now. And then we're also developing land gameplay, which basically is like a persistent environment where you can use your game characters, harvest different resources on their land plot that you own, and then collaborate with others to slay monsters that are wandering around on the universe, and then use them to expand your kingdom. But probably what is most interesting is that we've seen how Axie Infinity is evolving from just being this very simple game as when we got started. It's now turning into something totally different, where things are social, where people are using Axie Infinity as a platform for job creation. So they are harvesting different resources inside the game and selling it for real money. But the easiest way to look at Axies is probably like they are workers. If you don't have any workers, you can't interact with the broader game universe. And well, one of the core things that you can do in Axie Infinity right now, and I mean today, is if you own Axies, you can jump in, you can play a few battles, and you can earn some small love potions. And what makes this unique is that these love potions are tied into the other game that we have, which is the breeding game. So if you farm love potions, you can use them in the breeding game as long as you have Axies to create a new Axie. Pretty straightforward, right? It has one specific use case. Small love potions are used to breed new Axies. That's about it. But of course, as many other things in crypto, we have seen how things are evolving outside of their original use case. So when it comes to SLP, this is a picture from CoinDesk, which was released in the middle of August this year, where we started seeing how small love potions and Axie Infinity is actually changing lives in various areas around the world. So what we started seeing is that some players, they have very irregular playing patterns compared to other players. It means that they are playing something like 12 hours every day, trying to harvest as many resources as possible because they want to sell it immediately and extract as much value as they could. So what we did is we had to ban some of these players because we were suspecting that it was bot-like behavior. And then some of these guys, they started sending us emails. Oh, can you please unban me? It seems like you guys have made a mistake. And they sent pictures of themselves, and we realized that, oh my God, it's actually an entire village in the Philippines that are now playing Axie Infinity, and they're living off playing our game. There was one guy who started spreading it to his entire family and to his friends, and it kind of took off from there. So we unbanned them, and the story started spreading like wildfire in the media. But before that, we had actually, we're now also seeing that real businesses are forming in Axie with contracts, and people are making automated versions to actually hire other players to harvest these small love potions. And small love potions are just the first of many items that you will be able to find in Axie. So we're incredibly bullish about what will happen in the future. And of course, this has enabled play to earn. So as I mentioned, why are people being able to live by playing Axie? Well, the very simple thing is that they farm these resources and they harvest them. They turn them into tokens, and then they interact with the broader DeFi space. And that's basically what's enabled all of this growth that we've seen lately. But we've talked a lot right now about why it's important for players to make money inside a game like Axie. But for traditional games, players don't even make money, but they still love playing the games, right? Because games have something that we like to refer to as intrinsic value. When people are playing the games, they become happy. In Axie right now, there's a lot of extrinsic value, extrinsic motivation. So people, they come in, they get motivated because they can make money inside the game. And I think that's very clear. But what we're seeing in Axie is that it's not only extrinsic motivation. That doesn't explain why people are spending 130,000 USD on Axies like this. Because when you look at the quite simple math, okay, I have 3 Axies. These Axies can produce a certain amount of SLP every day. That means that I can make money, right? That's extrinsic motivation. On the intrinsic side, why would you buy something like a Mystic Axie for $130,000? Because you can't say that 130,000, okay, that's going to produce XYZ. It's a different kind of motivation. And I think that's what true ownership of game assets actually enable. So for Axie, it's pretty clear. They buy them because they want to take part in a new economy and a new digital nation that is actually coming into life right now in front of our very eyes. So when it comes to revenue and metrics, it's been pretty kick-ass to see the massive growth that we had over the past few years. So starting out in very early 2018, we had a Axie pre-sale. And then we have a land pre-sale in early January 2019, which is quite normal for traditional kind of blockchain game companies. You have like a pre-sale. But what you're seeing right now is that these 2 bars, the green one and the blue one, they're starting to grow. And these are recurring revenue metrics. So basically what this means is that we're creating a sustainable business where people are trading, they're interacting with the broader economy, and the marketplace fees and also the breeding fees are soon going to catch up to the land sale and Axie sales. In fact, we've had over 6,750 ETH in revenue since we started the company in early 2018, and 430 of those has been in the last 30 days, specifically from the trading fees and the breeding fees. And when it comes to volume on our marketplace, as you can see, the growth lately is exponential. It's been pretty wild since the people started realizing that they can actually make money inside the game. And that this is something special that's happening in terms of product market fit. So people are trading on our marketplace. We have our specifically created marketplace on Ethereum and also one on Loom Network, which is a scaling solution to Ethereum, or at least that's kind of what the goal was. That we're now moving away from that, but I can take some questions about that a little bit later. When it comes to daily active users, we are now at over 12,000 when it comes to off-chain activity. On the weekly active users, this is from a little bit earlier last month, but we now have over 19,000 weekly actives. So it's been pretty heavy to see the growth. On Ethereum, of course, this is an Ethereum meetup. We have all our smart contracts on Ethereum. And over 16,400 users have interacted with our smart contracts on a monthly basis. And you guys can see from Ethereum, we're dominating the competition here pretty heavily. And I believe yesterday, or it could be today, that we were the second most used application on the Ethereum network, just after Uniswap. But of course, Axie Infinity is much more than numbers. Since the beginning of the founding of this company, we've been creating we've been very focused on creating a community, and they are building amazing things and creating amazing art, like you can see here. And now they're also minting that on the Rarible to tap into that revenue stream. They're also creating games, which is kind of the next step of the Axie evolution, but these guys are very early. So non-fungible tokens as a conduit, they have many, many use cases. They can be used in different games, but they can also be used because they're portable and they are permissionless. They can be used to create other games as well. So we started seeing Flappy Axie, for example, being developed, and also the other one is Axie Sushi. And we're now going to be creating, leveraging these community developers into something more amazing down the line. But they're also creating guilds and teams, as I mentioned, and now even companies inside Axie. But best of all, they're taking Axie Infinity tattoos. And this is something that you can't really buy for money. The only way you get this kind of truly organic traction is if you are building brick by brick by brick over several years. And that's why we believe that Axie has got what it takes for the long term and can be a product that will be evergreen. So where do we go from here, right? You guys have probably heard about Axie, but maybe you're not so familiar with Axie Infinity shards. So far, I've mentioned that Axie Infinity is a sustainable business, but we need to put in some rocket fuel. We've seen how impactful it can be with small love potions, when people can just farm some asset that is tied just to creating new Axies. But what do you guys think will happen once we introduce a token that's directly tied to the revenue streams inside the game? So if you own Axie Infinity shards and you play the game, you have a direct claim on the revenue as long as you're providing value to the network. The easiest thing to think about it is like this. Normal players, they play normal games, right? They spend money like anyone else would. And this money, instead of going to us, the main company who is building this, we're putting that into a community treasury. And then that treasury is being governed by everyone who's holding the Axie Infinity Shard token. So if you play the game, you can find the token. It's kind of a marketing strategy down the line. Then you also get a claim on the revenue. So you can claim rewards every week, similar like synthetics. And this is going to kick off for real in the middle of 2020 when we are releasing the new battle game for the masses with free to play and other features for normal people, not only crypto people like we have right now. But that's not all. Of course, land version 1, as I mentioned, land gameplay is pretty simple. You build your land-based kingdom. You can place different kind of items on that, and you can attack other players. But land is much more than that. Because I mentioned, right, that we are going to be turning land into more of a virtual world. And the difference between Axie and, for example, Decentraland and the Sandbox is that we are going at it from a user acquisition perspective first. So if you consider something in the traditional gaming space, that would be Fortnite versus Roblox and Minecraft. Fortnite, they do the same thing. They are creating a game first, and then they are bringing players into that game universe where people are hanging out together with their friends, having fun together. And then they are now doing, for example, concerts and other games inside this universe that they are creating. For Roblox, for Minecraft, there is no main game. There is nothing that people are doing there, but they come to simply play and create content together. That's much harder to achieve than if you have something that's a user acquisition platform that can bring people in and then eventually turn it into a virtual world. And that's why I believe that Axie Infinity has much more potential as a virtual world than these other platforms who are going at it from a platform perspective first. So you build a platform and you have to hire other game companies to build the content for you. We don't do that. We build our content first. We want players to come in, and then we create a virtual world eventually so that we can tap into the creativeness of the user base that we already have. Yeah, this slide is still being created. So to summarize, in Axie Infinity, we're creating something more than a game. We are creating a new digital nation where people are living together, like on Discord, they're communicating, they're having fun, they are playing together, and they are now working together as well. This is something that's unheard of so far in the blockchain industry, I would say, especially in terms of the traction that we have. The growth so far has been exponential. We went from 700 daily active users to over 12,000 in the past 5 months, and there's no end in sight. And for Axie Infinity Shards is the token that we have designed to capture all the value, where we just had an IO on Binance. So yeah, I think that's it for the presentation. And in 2021, we're going to go mainstream, and there's a roadmap and a lot more stuff available in our white paper. Thank you.
Right, thanks. Thanks, Alex. If anyone has any questions, feel free to put it in the text box, or I can unmute you. I'm gonna allow people to unmute themselves. Please behave, guys. And yeah, so you can ask your question whether in the text box or directly to Aleksander, and you unmute.
Thanks, Jason. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can demo the game if you guys want to. I think that would be probably pretty good.
Jason asked for a free pet. Is that possible?
A free pet? No. Nothing is free in life unless you are unless you are super lucky. You can go and sign up. You can go and try to win the latest. What is that? My Crypto Winter.
There's a scholarship thing, right, or an ambassador thing where you essentially get to sort of borrow Axies, if I understand it right.
Yeah. That is correct. So when you are playing, like if you want to play like that, you can sign up, and then other people can give you some. You can get access to their accounts, and then you can play there. So let's see if we can. Where did Zoom go? We will pay the gas fee. Free pack? No. When it comes to free stuff, I don't think the way that we view free stuff is that every time we give away something, we have to either create it or buy it. If you're creating it, we're diluting the people who are inside the ecosystem, so things become less valuable. when what we're trying to seek is that we want the assets to become more valuable. So, but I think you can get a pretty good team right now for something like 0.1, maybe 0.15 ETH. 115 million views on that Fortnite concert. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is share my screen right now, and then we can go through this.
Oh, is this your own game? Your own Axies?
Yeah, these are my own Axies.
Nice.
I have some very interesting Axies. Let me see if we can find that.
Well, I don't know if you mind showing us a battle.
Yeah, I will. I'm just going to show you guys some of the very early IDs. So this is my favorite Axie. This is number 87. And he's super rare, probably worth, I don't know how much money, but significant amount of money. But yeah, as you can see, this is the application. It's been like this for a couple of months right now, but you have an inventory where you can harvest different kind of resources inside the game. So we partnered with, for example, MakerDAO, Kyber Network, and also Digix to harvest different kind of tokens for various seasons. And if you do win a season, oh, this is my battle log, sorry. So if you do win a season, you can see here, let's see if this is going to update. Now we are in season 13, and you can check the rewards. So we have a partnership with Aave right now. So if you guys are owning Aave tokens, you can go into our Aave partnership page, and then you can claim an item for free as long as you have some Aave assets. I think it's 0.065 Aave that you have to own. And then if you can rank here, like this guy has 2,618 matchmaking rating points. He will win a 6,000 Axie Aave, which should be about 60 Aave in the game, or 6 Aave in game when he turns it into blockchain assets. So let's see if my team here is okay. I think it should be okay. I'm gonna play arena right now. So let's see if we can find an opponent. Right now, that was quite fast. So this is a real live person. I'm not sure what this guy is thinking. So if you look up here, I can see my opponent. His name is there. This is the first round. His Axie is moving first, and then we have my Axies after that. The bird Axie has got a certain amount of speed, and these guys have also, and that determines the range. So I'm going to check this Axie, what he has. Okay, he's got some armor here that he can get. Does he have anything else that can steal my mana? No. So there is no way that he can steal my energy. So I'm just going to probably wait the round. And then hopefully this guy will survive. And we'll see what this guy does. He might try to kill this guy at first. We'll see. Oh, he also passed. So the way that it works is that person has 3 mana at the start. Same guy also has mana on my opponent, and then we can decide if we're going to make some moves or pass. So now this guy is going to attack my first Axie, so I'm going to have to figure out if I am going to defend. It's probably not going to be able to kill him immediately, but I want to kill this Axie before it gets off any spells. I'm going to try to calculate some damage here. I don't think I have enough damage to kill this guy. But I'm going to use this guy so I get a poison stack in. Yeah, I'm going to try to heal myself too. Yeah, because this guy is probably going to deal some damage and I have to heal. Let's see. Yeah, that was fail. So I used the heal there for no reason. I tried to predict what this guy was doing. So it's a little bit rock, paper, scissory. More cards. And now I can do a shitload of damage here. So I'm going to try to destroy this guy. Can I do this even? Yeah, I'm just going to YOLO in. I think it should be enough. So traditionally a match maybe takes about, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And yeah, that was nice. This first Axie died, and now we're going to trade. He's going to be killing my Axie too. But I would say that I'm still ahead here. Yeah, I'm going to wait a little bit. Let's see what the chat's... Are there any questions in chat, by the way? You can chat. You can chat if you want to.
Okay. Not disturbing you from your... Oops. Jason asked whether he can still claim if his Aave is staked.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
All right. Tokyo Crypto asks you to keep fighting.
Keep fighting. I will never give up. I hope this guy doesn't die. If this guy dies now before he gets off all his spells, it's gonna be fucking GG. I might be... This is too risky. Maybe I should just let this guy die. Because this guy is moving before me. Oh my god. Am I really gonna die? Lose versus this guy. That would be the disaster. On stream too. I can't handle it.
No pressure.
I can't risk it. Too much energy to risk. Fuck me.
By the way, Phantom asked, I understand.
I would have made it.
Okay, it works. Phantom asked, I understand when you want to participate, you are depositing a certain amount of assets, but where is the rest of the money coming from if everyone in the pool is only selling the love potions? Because I don't see any ad revenue.
Yeah, give me a second. I'm gonna crush this guy first. Let's see if I can win. I gotta focus on what's important in life. Winning games, that's what matters. I'm gonna lose here. I know that. No! Fuck me. This guy is in last stand, but it rip. Still dead. Okay, GG. Lost.
Liam, do you have a question?
I won that match. Nobody saw me losing. It's okay. Actually, and then I won. GG.
Liam, I'm just going to give you a quick... Wait, do you have a question?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. You can also hear a motorcycle.
All right, yeah, sorry. Just by the roadside. Now it's quiet now. Yeah, just wondering whether you are worried that somebody else might clone it, but then I think maybe the worst case scenario is if somebody make open source project, which means that everyone else will start doing the same thing and contribute. Just like how Linux kill Windows. So I don't know whether are you worried about this kind of scenario, or you would be happy just like Firefox becoming open source.
I mean, so anyone can try to clone Axie. I don't think it's possible to clone it because it would be like, oh, anyone can clone Ethereum. But I mean, it's not in the source code. Sure, the game is a part of it, but it's also the community and the assets that have been accruing value over several years. So even if you had the exact same game, the exact same assets, that wouldn't necessarily mean that the exact same people would be there and value them at the same level that they do in Axie right now. So that would be the same thing as saying, oh, you can just like create a new art piece and that would be as valuable as the other ones. I mean, the value is often derived from the people who are making something. I think that's really a big part of what what it means to be a creator, in a sense, because you're putting you're splitting a part of your soul actually into the product that you're making. And while people can try to copy that, it wouldn't be the same thing in any case, especially since things are also kind of public on chain right now. Did that make sense to you, or is that kind of a weird concept?
Sorry, yeah, I muted you because you had some background noise. You can unmute yourself if you'd like.
All right, now now it's okay. No background sound. Sorry, I think it makes sense, part of it. But then you said that you think it is like Ethereum, nobody can clone. But actually, I mean, from my perspective, is that Ethereum is just another open source project. And the uniqueness of open source project is that everyone will actually choose the best and contribute, and it's owned by everyone. It's just like Ethereum overtaking Bitcoin, but of course, the Bitcoin, I mean, the cryptocurrency space is big enough for a few open source projects to survive because they started initially as an open source project anyway. But your game, right, is just a game. So I think some of the value proposition is actually slightly different. This is where I don't quite agree with you, with your answer.
Yeah, I think that's okay. I mean, okay, so there are a few things here, right? That maybe we can discuss. You're saying Ethereum is an open source platform. Anyone can contribute and add value if they want. That is definitely true. But what I was more referring to is the sense that even if Ethereum is open source, a fork of Ethereum will not have the same amount of presence as Ethereum will have in any case, because the value is derived from the community and the builders who are around the main community, like the main Ethereum project. And that's actually the same thing that's happening in Axie. So let's say that even if Axie Infinity was completely open source, which it is not, because it's actually protected, we own the IP and we're creating a game. So for first of all, Axie Infinity is not open source. It is a game, but anyone could copy it and make something else if they wanted to, but they still would not have the same impact because the same team members would not be there and the community would not be around it. So I think that's kind of the similarities between Axie and Ethereum in that sense. And then what I want to say is that the true strength, I think, of Ethereum is actually that whenever people want to build on Ethereum, some kind of value is actually going down to the main protocol itself. And by that, I'm saying if you are building something like Yearn Finance or putting up various tokens on Ethereum, whenever people are interacting with those tokens, they are paying some kind of gas fee. And I think that's exactly where we have to go with Axie too, because we are also decentralizing the ownership of the platform through this game token. But that in itself does not mean that anyone should be able to make something without adding a value back to the network, because then they wouldn't be rent seekers rather than people who are adding value, right? So these are things that are somewhat connected. And when you say Axie is just a game, I don't agree with that at all. So a game is one specific thing. Axie is a digital nation where people are coming together to do many different things. So calling it a game is an oversimplification, and I think maybe that is where we are disagreeing the most.
Yeah. Thanks, Alex. I think we can. Anyone's free to agree to disagree. We do have other questions. So I do want to highlight them to you, Alex, just because I think at least a couple of them are probably hidden by the other comments that came afterwards. So Phantom, I'm just going to put it in the text box because the answers, the question is a bit long. So you can check the latest question. But just to give credit, it is Phantom1412 that asked this question. I believe it's related to the revenue for Axie as a whole.
Yeah. Okay. So the question is here. I understand when you want to participate, you are depositing a certain amount of assets, but but where is the rest of the money come from if everyone in the pool is only selling the love potion? Because I don't see any ad revenue. I think you might be misunderstanding the entire everything. So I will try to explain it in a different way. You are not depositing your asset anywhere in that sense. You are buying an NFT, you have it in your wallet, and you can use that NFT to play the Axie Infinity game. When you then harvest small love potions, what you need to do is that you can either use them inside another game, which is a breeding game, or you can sell them on an open marketplace, which other people are buying them to use in the breeding game themselves. So there isn't any ad revenue involved here. What we are making money from as the core company is whenever people are breeding an Axie, we take a small fee on that. And whenever people are trading Axies on our marketplace, we take a small fee on that too. So that's kind of where the revenue is coming from. And that's why we are like made over 150,000 USD last month compared to the burn rate that we have. So we are cash flow positive in that sense. So it's a different kind. It's not the same as you would stake some asset and then just get something else. It's more of a, you have to play, you have to spend time inside the game, and the SLP token actually has one utility, that is to breed a new Axie. And if people didn't buy it, it would be worthless. But the money is coming from other people who are buying SLP because they want to breed and create new Axies, so they can either sell them or use them inside other games or do other things with the Axies, just simply collect them. That makes sense? Or, I mean, just feel free to ask more. Can fire away.
Yeah, if you want follow up to the question, Phantom, you can put it in the text box. Aaron asked what your plan is for scalability for L2 or things like that. I do, if I understand it right, I do believe Axie is building a separate blockchain for other stuff, but I'll let you answer.
Yeah, so we have to go a little bit back, I think, to the early 2018 when we founded our company. So we were one of the very first blockchain gaming companies that founded after CryptoKitties. our goal was, or what we thought was, that NFTs would change the way that games are being played forever. And a big part of our goal was to do this in a very decentralized way, where true asset ownership was very like tied into the player's hand and everything was decentralized. And then what we realized is that it just doesn't make any sense to do that on Ethereum right now. So the initial version of Axie was quite simply, you had to send a transaction to the blockchain, your opponent did the same, and the Axies battled together, and that's it. It was not sustainable, it cost a shitload of gas, but that was kind of the earliest version of it. And then we started exploring into various scaling solutions, and we actually deployed our land marketplace on Loom Network in the middle, very early in 2019, as one of the first teams who were exploring scalability for games. Turns out that they had a little bit of a different plans, so they are pivoting their company. So what we learned there is that if you are a startup and you are building on bleeding edge technology that other startups are creating, which then again are also building on something that nobody actually knows the future of, then it's a recipe for disaster pretty much. So that's why we are going in the direction of creating our own sidechain to Ethereum right now, which is called Ronin, which is specifically tailored for ERC 721 assets, where like only for Axie at first, but maybe for other games in the future. So we're taking a step back in that sense. We don't see that there are any other L2 scaling solutions that are suitable for NFTs right now. Like you can say that optimistic rollups, it's coming, getting there for ERC 20s, but even so, the smart contracts for ERC 7 a second. So what I'm gonna do, don't worry about it. Oh, there you are. All right.
Yeah, sorry, I got disconnected.
Yeah. So then I can see Jason Chu is asking any possibility of Aave Gotchi on Axie. I mean, so for Aave Gotchi, it's a totally different product. They are doing something different related only to Aave. So no, I don't see any way that Aave Gotchi and Axie Infinity will be collaborating anytime soon. Maybe sometime in the very long future, once things have established in terms of ERC 721 scalability. Let's see. I just invited more people into the room. Play another battle. They want to see demo your skills. I don't think my skills in Axie are so good. And then we are also releasing a new game, a new battle version very soon. So that should be more interesting. I'm spending my time testing that game actually, more so than anything.
So that's a valid excuse for not performing. We asked about your take on Flow blockchain.
Yeah, so that's a very interesting question. I think Flow and Dapper Labs are an interesting company. They've seen tremendous traction in the past with CryptoKitties, and they're seeing something now with the NBA Top Shot as well. So I think the Flow blockchain can be a success for them, but I don't see them being battle tested quite yet. And we prefer to have something that can be tied to Ethereum more directly than having a separate layer one. So that's why we are making an EVM sidechain more so than creating something brand new and trying to reinvent the wheel. So the Ronin sidechain is very much created using the Ethereum. It's an Ethereum fork. So it's very easy to deploy our contracts. Meanwhile, on Flow, they have, I believe, their own coding language. They also have a significant amount of things that supposedly are better. But yeah, we aren't doing that. I think that they are still far away from being battle tested. But I'm curious to see where that leads. And there's another company as well, Immutable Games. They're making Immutable X, which is another potential scaling solution. But I also don't see that they are battle tested. The nearest thing would probably be Matic. But Matic they aren't a game company, so we don't think that they see the problems in the same sense that we do. That's why we also wanted to make our own solution, because it didn't really make much sense to put our faith in another company after being burned by Loom Network so hard.
Cool. I had a question myself. And I think we've had this discussion between the two of us before. What are some sort of support that other infrastructure players in the Ethereum space can do to help Axie or other NFT projects in general?
Infrastructure side? Sorry.
Yeah, so whether like wallets, block explorers, sort of projects like that.
Yeah, I mean, so for we are actually making our own block explorer. It's already live. We have our own wallet for Rollin as well. What we need is we are discussing with potential validators because it's going to be POS at the start, and then DPoS, and then ZK rollup most likely. That's the intended roadmap for Rollin. But it's still a little bit out there. So once we release things on mainnet, it should be more clear what the needs are specifically. Right now, we're very much just kind of waiting to release and then seeing what the community thinks of the initial release. And then I believe that a lot of people will build things just because they can. And that's what we've seen with Axie too. A lot of people are just kind of jumping in and making things to add value or, yeah.
So would other projects be able to build on Rollin, like separate from the Axie game?
So maybe in the future. Right now, it's very much a permission chain. So think about it like XDAI or similar, right? So in a sense that we don't have there's no initial token on the chain that's going to be used to secure it like in a POS network like you're used to. Sorry, I said POS last time. I meant POA. So instead of a POS network where people are staking their tokens to validate transactions, in a POA network, people are staking their reputation. So that's why I'm saying, yes, it is a permission network at the start. We're working with very solid partners to ensure that the reputation that they are staking is actually meaningful. So yeah, for the reputation side, excited to see and share who will be our initial partners. And then eventually, once we open it up more, once things are a little bit more clean, we will see who will be allowed to build or not. Because it's mostly for Axie. I don't think, I mean, I'd love to see other game companies have the same ideas that we do and do things in the same way that we do in the space. But I'm not seeing many other game companies, like, for example, taking all the revenue streams that they have and putting it into a treasury to share it with everyone. And in my opinion, I think that's like a needed. That's really embracing the kind of the ethos for Web3.
Jason asked for some tips for beginners, and he mentioned the price.
Yeah. So for Axies right now, yes, it is expensive. That there's no doubt about that. But the reason why it's so expensive is because there is an opportunity and people are jumping in on it. So they are driving their price up. So everything is driven by supply and demand. And that's also kind of tied into why it's worth it to breed new Axies. So right now we know that it's expensive for new players, but we're working on a free-to-play version. So once that is ready, the free-to-play players, they can start playing, but maybe they won't be able to harvest resources at the same pace as those who have paid Axies. So it depends a little bit on what your goals are. If you come into Axie and say that, oh, my goal is purely to get ROI or to make money, I mean, that you can do that too. But as everything, things go in cycles. So I would, as everything in life, don't spend money that you can't afford to lose. If you are coming into it betting your house and your grandmother's house and your family's house, please don't do that. I mean, things can change. Don't do that in Ether as well. But yeah, you can also find scholarships, so to say, or companies that will hire you to play the game for free, so you can try the game. That's kind of the current free to play that we have. So if you join axie.gg, no, discord.gg/axie. No, that's not sending privately. Discord.gg/axie. You can join there, and then you can see that you can ask players for some help if you're a new player. You can get started.
I think I'll just ask one last question related to what Jason followed up earlier, like what your plan is to attract new players. And I guess if you can expand a little bit more about how getting in the free-to-play version and going forward, like if the price keeps going up and up, whether you are like unintentionally then like kind of removing certain parts of the market from being able to enter?
Yeah. So we can start with the price. The price is just a function right now of a lot of demand to get into Axie. I think it will balance itself out once people start farming more SLP. So SLP then will be used to breed. But right now there is also an artificial level of things that are pressing up the prices, which is the gas fee on Ethereum, right? So it's very expensive to just get started because you have to pay gas if you want to breed new Axies. So once we get on the Ronin sidechain, this will be free to kind of breed. The only thing you have to pay is SLP and the smaller breeding fee. So that should also mean more Axies coming into production, and then that I could maybe reduce the prices, but we don't know how many people will come in to play the game, just because the opportunity is so massive for in certain parts of the world, right? It's pretty unheard of to be able to maybe get to farm real money by playing a game. I think that's quite the reason why things are so expensive right now. So this is something that we didn't really predict that this would happen so fast, but it also kind of came in after there was a massive price speculation on SLP. So things can go up, things can go down. We are mostly focused on the long term and try not to stay too connected to the price of everything in terms of the SLP specifically. When it comes to the long-term scale, like long-term plan to onboard users, I mean, yeah, the basic thing is this. If we can provide a service or a game that is as fun or like on parity, feature parity as with other games in the market, and then we can have add the benefit of having people being able to own their game assets and then also earn some tokens when they're playing the game, that should be our killer feature. That's it. We don't have to do anything else. No matter what else we do, it's going to be a breakout success, in my opinion. So these are the very simple things. Benefits and then like feature parity. So right now the Axie game is pretty fun, but the next one will be even more fun, and the next one will be even more fun than that. So we've been building for several years, and we won't stop until we've reached our goals. And yeah.
All right, thanks, Alex. We are like 4 minutes later than we should be because Vandal is going to be sharing on his project afterwards. So that'll be for about 15 minutes. So if you have other questions on NFT and gaming in general, you can keep that, and then we can ask that later at the end after Vandal's quick presentation. So Liang, you had a question there. So if we have time, we'll cover that later. But yeah, anyway, thanks, Aleksander, for sharing. Thanks
for having me.
Yeah, no worries. If you can stay there though, because we do want to like keep some time to ask more general NFT questions.
Yeah, I'll be around. I'll just turn off my camera.
Yeah. In the meantime, I'll get Vandal to share and Jonathan.
Hey guys, what's going on? KL family, how's everybody doing? Cool.
Good.
In a while, haven't seen you.
How's it going, guys?
Yeah, I also want to introduce Jonathan from Bittrees. He's actually the main man behind the NFTwrapper project, which we're going to share with you. That we're working together with my project, DAOrecords, and we're kind of combining the world of, I guess, NFTs and micro trusts and vaults and liquidity providing. So I guess the project is called NFTwrapper. And don't mind the darkness, it's just after 4 a.m. over here. And I'm going to get Jonathan to kind of give you a brief introduction about the project, and then I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to do a little demo for you. Cool? Hi, Jonathan.
Hey, everyone. So yeah, Jason came to me a while ago about wrapped tokens and just kind of looked at the different opportunities that, wrapping tokens kind of offer, especially when you start looking at different vault protocols. So we looked at the wrapped crypto kitty and whole vault protocol and the ERC, wrapped token that they had issued. And so we kind of looked to automate some of those features through our NFTwrapper project.
All right, so yeah, go on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, so Jason was going to show just a quick demo of kind of how this works. It's really simple.
All right, so can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, so this is our DAOrecords shop on Mintbase. So any of our NFTs here, which are audio NFTs created by artists and musicians, you can essentially grab one of these NFTs. They are for sale, but for those who have them, and like myself, I've got a bunch here in my catalog. So we're gonna go, let's grab this one here, right? And then what we do is we take the ID number. Later on, we're going to have this automated so you can just kind of put in the URL, but currently it goes by token ID number. So let me grab this token ID. Why is my screen? There we go. Okay, copy paste. All right, and then go here. Maybe connect the wallet. This is the beta page right here for NFTwrapper, so we can select the vault. So currently we have two vaults. One is for Avastars, and the other one here is our DAOrecords vault. So what we can do now is you want to deposit the NFT. So you go based on the ID number. You put the ID number in here, and if you haven't approved already, you can just approve it. Approve it real quick. All right. All right, so now we're all approved once the transaction goes through. Then we can place the token ID number down here, and then we can basically deposit that NFT that we had over here. Or was it this one, right? By getting the ID number. So these are audio NFTs, right? They actually can play music. So we've collaborated with artists and musicians to create these unique kind of audio NFTs. So now we get the audio NFT into the vault. All right, so it'll adjust the gas fees to the most expensive just to make sure that the transaction passes. But usually for this beta version, you'll be refunded a lower gas price once it actually clears. So,
yeah, so the purpose of this protocol is to provide technology that automates the process of liquidity. So you can put essentially our vision is to make it so you can deploy Vault for any NFT contract. And so you'll be able to deposit any NFT into any type of vault and then receive back a liquidity token or utility token for your deposit.
So in this case, that's a wrapped tune token. So our token for our NFTs are tunes from DAOrecords. And so we've created a wrapped tune ETH pair here in Uniswap. So essentially we can just add liquidity through here.
Yep.
All right.
And we just wanted to make it so it was kind of plug and play. And so it kind of acted like a puzzle piece where, these tokens that were created automatically by this vault contract could be, added to Uniswap or, kind of just done whatever. They're your tokens. We don't have any rights to anything in the vault. So these particular vault contracts they're kind of like public utilities. Tune token? No, we're not. From my understanding, that's a DAO, but yeah, or something.
Sorry, I can't see the people's questions. So on the screen.
Are we related to tunetoken.io?
Oh no. No, this is our token was actually created through the DAOrecords DAO and our contract with Mintbase for the NFT minting. So I just named it the token tune because that's what we have, tunes. Yeah, so essentially, that's I guess the short and sweet of it. And the cool thing for us is that for DAOrecords is we can actually take our audio NFTs that we have that people buy at the artist mint, and then we can create pretty much instant liquidity by putting them into the NFT wrapper.
So imagine a world where you have a musician or someone who creates a whole bunch of different sound bites. Well, instead of having to sell those sound bites to people directly, you can instead just deposit your creative content into your own personal vault, which ends up being like your own personal like micro trust. And then you can get that kind of automatic liquidity. And instead of offering an individual soundbite or whatever, you can offer kind of this social token, which is what it turns into, and people can purchase a group of these social tokens or that kind of stuff. So it just adds kind of a little bit more complexity, and it definitely gives some of the power back to the individual just through this kind of technology.
We asked a question. Does it assume the wrap token is the same value? Because NFTs can be different.
Yep. Yeah, it's so really the value is kind of set by the free market. And so, the value doesn't really happen until it's added to a liquidity provider, like kind of like Uniswap. So, I mean, these avatars, essentially, they'll gravitate towards, I believe, the lowest common denominator. So, it costs 0.07 to mint one. And so ultimately, if you run this kind of, game, I guess, out for a while, that's kind of the price that we think it will go to. But like I said, we don't own these vaults. So, there's just a public utility. So, it's really up to whoever interacts with it.
So just to add, is it correct to say that if I, let's say, have a very expensive Axie, for example, and I see there's a bunch of like cheaper Axies that's in this vault, I probably wouldn't want to put my Axie in the same vault because then someone can buy my Axie at the same price?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's meant to just kind of provide automatic liquidity. If you had something that was near and dear to your heart, I wouldn't suggest putting it into kind of this public thing. I mean, that sounds like something you'd want to like sell individually or hold on to. There are, these types of vaults are kind of just the most basic. And I saw chat in there, it goes beyond the music industry, literally any NFT. So anything can be an NFT, right? Mortgages, property titles, car titles, you can tokenize income streams. An NFT could be a contract for a DAO. I mean, it's really whatever you want. And anything can be an NFT. You can create any type of vault that can contain any type of NFT. So this is just its utility, and so we want people to be empowered by this technology to kind of do whatever.
Okay, cool. Thanks. If you have anything else to show or explain, you can. Otherwise, I do have one question, like specifically for Vandal.
Sure.
And actually, I'll allow others to unmute themselves as well, just because then you can also ask your own questions. And this is, I guess, from your personal opinion, because as a musician yourself, how do you see having a tool or protocol like this would help musicians to be able to like get their career out there without being like a slave to the music industry?
Mm-hmm. That is a great question, because I think that this is what musicians have been kind of searching for but didn't know existed. In a lot of ways, the way the music industry is currently structured is very centralized, and it's heavy in the top end around record labels. It's bloated. There's a lot of things that are wrong with it, and I think that what we're trying to do and what we're trying to build out here through all the different projects and networks that I myself am involved in is to kind of build out an alternative music industry. And by you just using these sort of protocols with the vaults, is actually you can have artist vaults. So let's say I'm an artist, I'm Vandal, I create my vault. then I put all my songs into my vault. And anybody who buys the NFTs of those particular songs, like let's say I make 100 copies of my KL track, right? And then people purchase the NFTs, and I can create a vault around that song. And then people who have that song can then deposit this song into the vault and then create liquidity around that song. So I think that it's really empowering for artists, for record labels, especially for publishing and licensing. And I think this is going to be the next evolution in terms of NFTs how they apply to the music industry, as opposed to just like a song and an artwork. Is we're going to be looking at how publishing and licensing can work through NFTs.
Yeah,
Actually,
I saw an interesting news article, and it talked about how there was a bundle of music rights, and it was owned by kind of a fund, like a private wealth fund. And I was like, what? A private wealth fund owns music rights, and they sold it to someone else, and it was a bundle of music rights, and it was like I think it was close to $10,000 per song that these particular music rights went for. And it was just managed in all the rights were bundled essentially in a trust company, because trust companies are a great way to manage assets. And so essentially with our wrap token protocol, we can automate this process of deploying trust companies. I don't know if any of you guys have ever done that, but it can be pretty expensive and time consuming. So we can eliminate that cost to $15 in a couple minutes.
I have some feedback here. This is Aleksander from Axie, by the way.
Okay.
So the for wrapping NFTs, actually, we've seen something happening in Axie similarly too, where people have created something called a wrapped origin contract. So you can deposit some specific Axies which have fungible assets to them. So let's say origin Axies, there are a certain amount of them in existence. You wrap them in there, and then they can be freely traded. So I definitely think there are some cool things that are possible with this technology.
Yeah.
But from what I think is more interesting for the like basically the IP, the NFT creator rights is what you guys are also exploring, right? I think there is a problem right now that nobody's solving, which is basically like why should these artists be incentivized to create their own things on a blockchain? Like, let's say even the artists today, when they are minting things on Rarible, at least they can set amount of money that they get on each secondary market. That's when your asset is traded. But the reality is that if another platform is becoming too popular or will kind of eat Rarible's lunch, the artists are shit out of luck, right? Because then they don't get any of that fee. So I think that's a problem that needs to be solved at a protocol level almost, or you need a new standard for NFTs so that the original IP creators, like let's say that they would get fees for every time something is traded for something like yours too. Like if they have NFT rights wrapped in an NFT or artist rights in an NFT, if they then would wrap it into something like your protocol, what would happen to the trading fee that should go to the artists themselves or to the NFT creator? These are problems that I think are pretty interesting to consider.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting thing. I mean, you could look at it like what's technically happening. So if I am a creative person and I'm taking and putting something into this vault protocol, I'm essentially putting whatever it is, I'm giving the rights of this asset, and I'm putting it into a trust. So the trust therefore then holds the rights for that asset. So I mean, you can kind of look at it that way, I guess. But yeah, I mean, the wrapping cases are really cool. We actually looked at Axie Infinity as a potential one to launch with alongside Avistar. So I mean, that's definitely something we've looked into.
Yeah, there are options here. A lot of people have wanted to wrap mystics as well. I think there are people who are considering, I think, the same problems that you are. I'm very curious to see where this ends up. But as I said, I'm more curious what a new NFT standard would look like. where people would like eventually maybe even have to whitelist other people to allow them to wrap their NFTs. Because the moment you can wrap an NFT, or the moment that you are free to do whatever you want with something, the IP or the NFT creator of that asset is potentially losing out on a lot of intellectual property rights, which should belong to them because they are the creators. I think that's a contrarian take in the crypto industry, where everyone is so focused on ownership and so focused on that people should own everything. But the truth of the matter is that the IP owners and the creators, they need to be able to benefit in the future for this to actually be sustainable for everyone. Or if not, they probably won't be incentivized to create something on the Ethereum blockchain at all.
Totally. I mean, you kind of look at the alternative, right? And as Jason was kind of alluding to, I mean, the music industry, I mean, he's more of an expert, but the music industry is really top heavy. And so, just kind of giving some power back to the individual through this technology innovation. I always like to, I mean, there is the contrarian take, but I always try and look at, kind of the positive spin. And, the positive spin to me is like, everyone gets their own trust company. And so you can create liquidity out of thin air, and, you're kind of, you can do whatever you want with your creative content that you produce. If you want to sell it for $1 each, you can sell it for $1 each, $2, etc.
Okay, cool. I think we've somehow naturally segued into this kind of like discussion on NFTs and in general. So three of you can just stay there. If anyone has any questions on NFTs or gaming in general, I can ask it for the three people we have here who are actively in the space. I do have one myself. I'm just gonna ask it before others do. There's a question just now that was asked about how do you make sure that the same song isn't published again by a different artist or a different person? And if I can expand that to not just song but art or let's say gaming item. I guess specifically for like independent items like art and songs, like how do you, because I think this is also a question of that problem that Rarible is facing right now, where someone can create a piece of art, then someone else can just like get that image and then make a completely new token that has exactly the same art. Do you guys have any thoughts?
Yeah, this is like an ongoing issue between the decentralized and centralized platforms. I guess every platform is kind of centralized to a degree or decentralized to a degree, but to compare, like, let's say what we do with Mintbase and what Rarible offers is that, our smart contract on Mintbase is specific to DAOrecords. So not anybody can go and mint on that. So we actually curate the artists that come on board. And that is the process that we take, so that you can't have, I guess someone else can publish something somewhere else, like say on Rarible, that they would on our platform. And then that would just kind of be identified as a copy or as like a copyright infringement or a fake or whatever, however you call it, someone, copying someone else's art and posting it up on Rarible. Like, I think that happens there. Not to say that we need gatekeepers, but I think we need curators, and we need to sort of have the ability to either empower the artists individually with their own minting contracts, which they can do on all these platforms for the most part. But to try and like stop people from copying things is I don't think we can do that. So it's just about making sure that the platforms are aware that there's a copy, and then you flag it and take it down.
Yeah, I think just opportunity to flag it or that kind of stuff would help solve the problem. I mean, it's community focused, and so ultimately, if the hands are in the, if the decisions are in the hands of the community, then that it's kind of, it will be up to the community to decide if something is deemed a copy or whatnot.
Yeah, I don't see Rarible as such a positive thing for the space right now, actually. I think that
You recorded, by the way.
yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, as I said, I'm not afraid of saying this out loud either. So for wearable, I think there is no curation right now. There is just a shitload of fakes out there. But I mean that in itself can be solved because it's all routing down to the people who are creating the original content, right? So if you are buying something, you can very easily see who is the original creator just by clicking on the wallet address, and then you can even do a reverse Google search to see if this is original content, for example. So I mean that in itself can be solved, but I'm mostly talking about the original creators who are, for example, creating their own marketplaces, and Rarible or other platforms are taking that IP and letting the or trying to kind of capture market share by being very open in a sense. And I think openness is fine, but as I said, it's about how can we get original IP creators to come into this space. And the sad truth is that the more I come into the traditional kind of gaming industry, and from that aspect, I don't see what the benefit is for these big guys to come into the space and to put their IP on Ethereum right now if there is no way for them to protect it and say that whenever people are trading my IP, I should get a small cut of it. And that's just the way it is for things to accrue value to my platform. If you are opening everything up and saying that everyone can trade it and everyone can make money on something like that, then I mean that's fine. That's one way of doing it, but I don't think that is sustainable for these companies in the end. For OpenSea, I mean, yeah, you can take a small cut. At least you can deliver a cut, but even then, OpenSea, these guys are the middleman, the way I see it. So that's why I'm not so convinced on Rarible as a business model or as a middleman. I think that other people can make that themselves too, and that we need other ways to protect IP for big parties if we're going to turn this into a mainstream thing.
Yeah, this is the problem also that we're trying to solve with the music is that like traditionally record labels would have masters of songs, right? And then these masters would be replicated and they would offer distribution rights and licensing for manufacturing of CDs and whatnot, right? So what we want to do is create masters for artists as NFTs, and then those would be owned by the masters. And then those masters can then be copied where fans can come to their site and then mint copies off of that master with a royalty share going back to the artist every time that copy gets basically sold on the secondary market. So these are the kind of things that I think are kind of like that we need to solve in the IP. Like Alex was saying, I think is very important for the creators, and finding a way that we can protect that at the same time as allowing them to monetize it.
Yeah, I mean, you're unlocking liquidity, you're doing all these cool things, which are amazing, right? But I have a feeling like we're overcorrecting in a sense that, okay, right now everything should benefit the end user. Suddenly they randomly getting an amazing picture or something, and then the original IP creator is screwed. So I mean, for example, if you consider that's what happened back in the good old days. Amazing artists, they were dirt poor their entire lives, and people were selling their amazing stuff for a lot of money, right? Then suddenly, I mean, it's just not right. So yeah. I'm excited to see what happens in the long term.
Yeah, well, that's why I think it's kind of cool that you can just deposit a whole bunch of your creative content. You don't have to then sell any of your individual items, your value, and then people can invest in just a social token, right? But that social token is directly related to the items in the vault. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Unlike kind of like, just a DAO where, whatever the social token is, this has direct relation.
No, I really like that. I think we're on there is still a little bit of way to go, but certainly social tokens that have backing with something that's like tangible. I'm so tired to see people who are launching things and it's just like nothing there's nothing like at all there. It's just, I'm gonna go to do something amazing here. Okay, great. You do that. I would like to see more real things in the space.
Well, I mean, I saw a couple cool DAOs where, you know, they had all these NFT items behind it, but it was kind of managed by the DAO where, you know, and so that's how you had the value of the tokens attributed because of that, you know, how well it was managed. But, you know, you could just set the price behind the free market in this way. So
Yeah.
it's just different.
Harth, you're saying?
No, I was just saying we are slightly past the 9:30 p.m. Time, and I don't want to keep people here longer than they should be. So I was just gonna quickly mention that Alex mentioned earlier about like there should be some sort of standard around these things, and I feel like the IP creator. Are you guys aware of any standard that is being under works, or if it has already been created? That's probably very useful if there's like an EIP that covers this.
Specifically to what?
Yeah, so I can reiterate the problem here. From what I'm experiencing right now. The real issue is here. If you're creating an asset, or if you are an NFT creator and you're creating an asset, and that asset can be wrapped, that asset can be transferred freely, right? There is no way for the original IP creator to retain any value if it's being traded for millions of dollars, right? So that, in a sense, needs to be programmatically figured out in a way, but I'm not sure exactly how that can be done. So I had a discussion with our CEO, who is more on the technical side. I am a biz person by nature, so I'm not a coder or anything like that. But I can see that this is a problem, but I'm not sure exactly how that can be solved other than whitelisting people to use your NFTs. And by that, I mean, let's say that you have closed NFTs, or you have NFTs that can't be transferred except you are whitelisted, and everyone who is whitelisting them, they are forced to give you a royalty fee whenever they're trading. But that still does not solve the problem of wrapping, which is what happens when you wrap an NFT, and then that NFT is being traded back and forth. A lot of value is being accrued, but none of it goes to the original IP creator. Unless you can have a whitelist there too. So I'm not exactly sure, or if this will even be something that the community will rally behind. It's the first time I actually brought it up, so I'm curious what you guys are thinking. It's also about how you can, for me, it's the most important thing here is to say that this is about for all creators. I'm not thinking Axie specifically here. I'm thinking about Axie, I'm thinking about artists, I'm thinking about other game developers, other artists who are coming in, bigger companies. Everyone has a vested interest in protecting their own IP and making sure that they can benefit from when it becomes popular.
Yeah, and I think Vandal, you mentioned what Midbase and DAOrecords are doing of like you will check for like the original creator, and I don't know how much of that is done like on the blockchain, but if that perhaps could be expanded, then it could be like a blockchain wide EIP, and then people have something to rally around.
Well, this was more about sort of curating, right? Like kind of like what a record label would do is not any artist can go and sign up for a record label and release stuff or release whatever they want because, you never know if it's theirs or not. So this is kind of a way for us to kind of curate through our platform via Mintbase, because we've been basically working with them for the most part in terms of minting our artists. So yeah, like it's kind of the Wild West in a lot of ways. And I think, Alex is right in terms of trying to figure out some kind of standard where we have, I don't know, something embedded in the NFT that will automate a split every time it gets sold, like that way that the original creator of the content is compensated accordingly with a royalty. We're going to get there eventually. I'm not on the technical side either, so I'm sure there's a lot of smart technical people out there, and if you're anybody who's in the audience listening who is one of those people, these are some things to consider, and we're always welcome for assistance.
Yeah, so the optimistic take is it's an open challenge for the industry as a whole to figure out this standard, and yeah. See if
anyone is working on this, please DM me or send me a Twitter message. I'd love to connect with that because we will be considering something like this for the future. I'm not exactly sure when this will happen, if it will be now within the next 6 months or next 18 months. But what I know is that this is a need for the industry in general. Whether or not it will be a new NFT standard, upgraded NFT standard, or something totally different at a protocol level, I have no idea. But yeah, should be interesting to see what happens.
All right, and on that note, we're 7 minutes past, so yeah, I don't want to keep you guys here longer than needed. So thanks everyone. Thank you, Aleksander, Vandal, and Jonathan, for sharing your thoughts. So I'm gonna end our official meetup at this point. If anyone wants to hang around and just like chit chat for maybe a few more minutes, I'm gonna keep the Zoom up. But if you need to leave or whatever, no one's gonna feel offended. So yeah, so it's officially ending the meetup. And yeah, if you guys wanna chit chat, then you can stay on. All right, thanks you guys.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Vandal, for staying up. Yeah, thanks, Jonathan.
Hey,
thanks you guys.
See you, Jason.
Yeah, take care, Marco. All right, guys. Thanks so much, Harith, for having us. Everybody out there. I saw Jason, Aaron, Sandra.
Yeah, the other Jason too. You sound.
Yeah, thanks for having us, you guys. This
Yeah,
is
no
great.
worries. Yeah, thanks for staying up.
Okay, take.
All right.
Yes.
Bye.
All right, take care.
Aaron
Bye.
too. Hey, Aaron, my man. See ya.